In our modern era of constant stimulation and endless distractions, where external pressures and societal expectations bombard us from every direction, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism emerges as a beacon of clarity and tranquility. At its core lies a profound truth that has stood the test of time. Our happiness and quality of life are not determined by external circumstances, but by how we choose to perceive, interpret, and respond to those circumstances. This fundamental principle, articulated by Marcus Aurelius when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," offers us a transformative lens through which to view our existence. The modern world presents us with a paradox. On one hand, we have unprecedented access to comfort, convenience, and material abundance. On the other, we face epidemic levels of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. This paradox reveals a crucial insight. Our external conditions alone cannot guarantee happiness. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago, recognizing that true contentment comes not from what happens to us, but from our judgments about what happens. This distinction between events and our interpretation of events forms the bedrock of Stoic philosophy and its practical approach to living well. Consider how most people navigate their daily lives. We wake up and immediately reach for our phones, flooding our minds with emails, news, and social media updates before we've even had a moment to collect our thoughts. We rush through our mornings, reacting to external stimuli rather than setting intentional priorities. We measure our worth by productivity metrics, social media likes, and material acquisitions. In this constant state of reaction and external validation, we surrender our most precious human capacity, our ability to choose how we engage with our experience. Stoicism offers an antidote to this modern malaise. It teaches us that while we cannot control external events, the weather, other people's actions, global circumstances, we have absolute sovereignty over our own minds. This is not merely philosophical abstraction, it is a practical truth with profound implications for daily living. When we internalize this principle, we begin to recognize that our power lies not in changing the world to suit our preferences, but in cultivating the wisdom to respond to whatever the world presents with equanimity and virtue. The morning routine becomes a particularly potent arena for applying this philosophy. Instead of beginning our days in reaction mode, we can establish rituals that ground us in intentionality and purpose. The Stoic morning practice might include moments of silent reflection, journaling, or meditation, not as empty self-help tropes, but as deliberate exercises in mental discipline. These practices serve to remind us of fundamental truths, that this day is a gift not guaranteed to everyone, that our time is limited and precious, and that we have the opportunity to live in alignment with our highest values. Marcus Aurelius himself began his days with such reflections, as recorded in his Meditations, reminding himself of his purpose and principles before engaging with the demands of ruling an empire. This intentional approach to mornings creates a ripple effect throughout the day. When we start from a place of centered awareness rather than reactive scrambling, we bring greater clarity to our decisions, more patience to our interactions, and deeper appreciation to our experiences. We become less likely to be thrown off course by minor irritations or unexpected obstacles, because we've anchored ourselves in the understanding that these external events do not determine our inner state. The traffic jam, the rude comment, the missed opportunity, these become not sources of frustration, but opportunities to practice Stoic principles. The Stoic practice of negative visualization takes this mental training even deeper. At first glance, contemplating potential losses or hardships might seem counterintuitive to happiness. Yet this exercise serves two vital purposes. First, it inoculates us against the shock of adversity by mentally preparing us for life's inevitable challenges. Second, and perhaps more importantly, it cultivates profound gratitude for what we currently have. By periodically imagining life without our health, our loved ones, or our comforts, we return to the present moment with renewed appreciation for these gifts. This is not pessimism, but rather a form of emotional vaccination, preparing our minds to meet difficulty with resilience while simultaneously deepening our capacity for joy in ordinary moments. Gratitude emerges as a natural outgrowth of this Stoic mindset. When we train ourselves to regularly acknowledge and appreciate the good in our lives, from the grand to the mundane, we fundamentally alter our baseline experience of reality. Research in positive psychology confirms what the Stoics knew intuitively. Gratitude practice reliably increases happiness levels, reduces depression, and enhances overall life satisfaction. But Stoic gratitude goes beyond mere list-making. It becomes a way of seeing, a fundamental orientation toward life that recognizes the preciousness of each moment and the impermanence of all things. The implications of this philosophy extend far beyond personal happiness. When we take responsibility for the quality of our thoughts, we necessarily become better family members, friends, colleagues, and citizens. A mind trained in Stoic principles is less likely to react with anger or defensiveness, more inclined to respond with compassion and understanding. We become contributors rather than complainers, problem solvers rather than blame shifters. In this way, the cultivation of inner peace becomes not just a personal benefit, but a social good. Modern neuroscience confirms the Stoic insight about the malleability of our thought patterns. Through the concept of neuroplasticity, we now understand that our brains physically change in response to our repeated thoughts and mental habits. This means that the Stoic practice of consciously directing our attention and interpretations isn't just philosophical wisdom. It's a scientifically validated method for reshaping our brains toward greater resilience and well-being. Each time we choose a constructive interpretation over a destructive one, we strengthen neural pathways that make similar choices easier in the future. The practical application of these principles requires consistent practice. Like any skill worth mastering, playing an instrument, speaking a language, excelling at a sport, mental discipline develops through regular exercise. This is why the Stoics emphasized daily reflection, why they wrote journals, why they engaged in mental rehearsals for adversity. They understood that wisdom isn't acquired through passive understanding, but through active, continual application. In our contemporary context, this might translate to specific practices, morning and evening reflection periods, mindfulness exercises throughout the day, conscious reframing of challenges as opportunities for growth. It certainly means limiting exposure to mindless distractions and stimuli that pull us away from intentional living. The digital age presents particular challenges here, with its endless streams of information and entertainment designed to capture and hold our attention. Stoicism in the 21st century requires us to be especially vigilant about what we allow to occupy our mental space. Ultimately, the Stoic path leads us to a fundamental reorientation of our relationship with life itself. We learn to stop waiting for circumstances to align perfectly before allowing ourselves to be happy. We recognize that contentment is available now, in this moment, when we choose to meet our experience with wisdom and acceptance. This doesn't mean passive resignation. The Stoics were anything but passive, but rather an active engagement with life as it is, not as we wish it would be. The happiness that emerges from this practice is of a particular quality. It's not the fleeting excitement of momentary pleasures, but the deep, abiding satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with one's principles. It's the quiet joy of self-mastery, the peace that comes from knowing we've done our best with what we've been given. In a world that constantly tells us we need more money, more status, more possessions, Stoicism reminds us that what we truly need is already within us: the capacity to choose our thoughts, and through them, the quality of our lives. As we navigate the complexities and challenges of modern existence, this ancient wisdom stands as a timeless guide. The circumstances we face today may be different from those of ancient Rome, but the human mind remains essentially the same in its capacity for both suffering and transcendence. By taking responsibility for the quality of our thoughts, we reclaim our birthright as conscious beings capable of wisdom, virtue, and profound inner peace. In doing so, we honor not just the Stoic tradition, but our own highest potential as human beings. This is the promise and the power of Stoic philosophy, that regardless of external conditions, we can cultivate an inner citadel of peace and resilience. That happiness is indeed possible, not through change in the world, but through changing how we meet the world. That the quality of our thoughts truly does determine the quality of our lives, and that this transformation is available to anyone willing to undertake the journey of self-mastery, one thought at a time.